Hey gang, what's up? I trust this finds you well. You know, in my mother tongue, they say where there is smoke, there is fire. Wait a minute, that's English. It's actually the same thing in Xhosa as well. Nevertheless, the point is when it rains, it pours. Right now, it seems to be raining cats and dogs in the EFF land. Listen to this. Matodzi, that is Tshifhiwa, the gentleman that was, if I'm not doing him disservice by calling him a gentleman, that defrauded VBS, has decided not to go down by himself. Now remember, when I did the video of Tshifhiwa getting 495 years, which is nothing but a deliberate attempt to hide that he only got 15 years, when I did that video, I asked the question, why are they not mentioning VBS? What did I know? It turns out that Tshifhiwa did. Here is his affidavit, sworn under oath. That's what an affidavit is. It's a declaration under oath of a person who's convicted right now, which makes it all the more serious. Remember, we've got crimes rather than crimes, laws against these crimes committed here, regardless of who committed them. Okay? You're going to see when he talks about EFF. It's a very lengthy document. I'm not going to read even half of it. I'm just going to read his introduction of who he is and how that he's doing this without being coerced by anybody, and take you directly to paragraph 27 where he deals with the EFF. Okay, brilliant. Let's delve in. How VBS was looted. Tshifhiwa Matodzi, former chairperson, explains how, amongst others, that is inter alia, Julius, Malema and Floyd Shivambu profited from bank funds. This is something baby funba ibe indaba yakwamkhosi. Can you see that? Well, it's not anymore. Okay? Let's proceed. Affidavit. I, the undersigned, Tshifhiwa Matodzi, do hereby make an oath and state as follows. I am an unemployed adult male of 46 years old with a South African identity number 7707185406-082. I am the former chairperson of the VBS Mutual Bank, quote unquote, VBS, and executive chairperson of Vela Investments. Paragraph 2. The facts herein deposed by me are true and correct, and are within my own personal knowledge and belief, save where otherwise stated or the contrary appears from the context. I hereby declare that I make this statement voluntarily and out of my own free will. I have not been coerced, threatened, and or promised anything in exchange for making this statement. I understand the nature of the charges against me, including corruption, fraud, theft, money laundering, and contravention of the pattern of racketeering activities. I take full responsibility for my actions. I am cooperating with the police and prosecution in the hope to rectify my wrongdoings and seeking appropriate consequences for my actions. Paragraph 4. Foremost, I wish to record and offer my sincere and unconditional apologies to all victims of my actions, which include depositors, shareholders, stakeholders, suppliers, staff, and members of the public and South African taxpayers at large, as will appear from the facts set out here under. I was entrusted to play an important role in overall oversight in my capacity as a chairperson of VBS. I admit that I totally failed in my responsibility in this regard. Did you hear that? Okay, so now I'm going to jump his personal background, right? Why? Because I want to take you to the hot story. The EFF cronies, how are the comrades? No wonder Katlego always say, beware of the comrades. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to a channel, I suggest strongly that you should, because I think you would learn a lot. Okay, her channel is Citizens Concerned. Okay, then let's go to paragraph 27. There we go. To my knowledge, Sgameka is a company owned by Brian Shivambu, a brother to Floyd Shivambu, who is the deputy president of EFF. The company was provided to me by Floyd to make payments that I promised to the EFF. I made this promise following the news which had broken in the media that VBS had granted former President Zuma a home loan for his Nkandla residence. Negative publicity arose in the country, particularly from those that were opposed to Zuma at the time. Amongst those was the EFF. EFF started a campaign of mentioning VBS in its political rallies through its president, Julius Malema. As chairman of VBS, I then decided that Malema and EFF should be approached for VBS to explain its position and how the loan was granted. Gogoro or Gogoro, which was VBS PR consultants, arranged a meeting for me to meet with Julius at the EFF's penthouse in Sandton around May 2017. I went there alone. Present there was Julius Malema. Okay, he said present there was Julius Malema, Floyd Shivambu, and Marshal Dlamini. Marshal Dlamini did not participate in the meeting, and he was seated far from where the engagement took place. I explained VBS' position and the fact that the EFF's negative commentary about VBS/Zuma transaction was damaging VBS's reputation. Furthermore, I explained that as black brothers, the EFF constituencies were VBS' target market also. I further informed them that VBS was willing to offer a donation to the EFF. I then proposed that VBS can donate 5 million immediately once a bank account has been opened at VBS and 1 million per month to the EFF. Wow! Wow, wow, wow. I also made it clear that the amount could only be deposited into VBS account and that EFF should therefore open a bank account with VBS. After I left this meeting, Floyd and I remained in contact. At some stage, Floyd indicated that they have opened an account at VBS in the name of a company called Sgameka. A transfer of 5 million as promised was made on my instructions from Malibongo to Sgameka on the 8th of June 2017. Subsequent payments were made to Sgameka account every month and were paid from Vele or any of Vele's subsidiaries. Myself, Julius, and Floyd understood that the concept of donation to mean gratification. What? Hence, Floyd and Julius did not provide me with EFF's own banking details for these donations. Now, the reason why I'm exclaiming on the word gratification, because that in terms of the Corruption Act of South Africa is unlawful. Now, you may want to take the time, because I don't want to make an elongated video, to go through the act itself. It's very interesting that this gentleman is using that word here without being coerced, because that statement has serious implications for those who received gratification. Okay, let's proceed. I want to emphasize that paragraph 27.4. After I left this meeting, Floyd and I remained in contact. At some stage, Floyd indicated that they have opened an account at VBS in the name of a company called Sgameka. A transfer of 5 million as promised was made on my instructions from Malibongo to Sgameka on the 8th of June 2017. Subsequent payments were made to Sgameka VBS account every month and were paid from Vele or any of Vele's subsidiaries. Myself, Julius, and Floyd understood that the concept of donation to mean gratification. Hence, Floyd and Julius did not provide me with EFF's own banking details for these donations. So basically, this gentleman is telling us that they knew that they were embarking on an illegal activity, and so they tried to hide the audit trail by not providing correct details that could be immediately traced to them. So literally, Floyd compromised his young brother. Wow. The malevolence, the depth of malevolence in these youngsters who pretend to be comrades, who are seeking to deliver you from a non-existent oppression in the land of your birth. Remember, I've said this repeatedly. I have absolutely no regard for Freedom Day revolutionaries because theirs is to agitate the masses of the people so as to propel themselves as they have in parliament to make a quick buck, to have this type of influence they have over here. If they were not in parliament, they would never have had this influence over VBS. And you see that. Let's proceed. 27.5. Further, subsequent meetings were held between Julius, Floyd, and myself. The notable was one where Julius and Floyd informed me that they needed funding. This is now over and above R1 million that they get every month that is undue to them of pensioners' money. They want more. The greed, the audacity. The only way I can explain it for you to understand is malevolence. I'm not using that word because I've just learned it yesterday. No, I'm using that word to give to you what they will say in law, gravitas, for you to understand the gravity, the depth, the width of the wickedness that is involved here. I hope you understand it. Let's proceed. The notable one was where Julius and Floyd informed me that they needed funding to renovate an EFF restaurant called Grand Azania in Soweto. I informed them of a VBS facility for such loans and referred them to David Ntlokwe, the then general manager of credit at VBS, to attend to this request. This loan application was made through Sgameka and was approved, although I do not know the amount. Wow. After VBS was placed under curatorship, I met Floyd and his younger brother Brian several times at Floyd's residence in Bryanston. This was the first time I met Brian. At one of the meetings myself, Floyd and Brian agreed to regularize the 5 million plus 1 million monthly donations. How are they going to regularize that which was irregular? It was agreed amongst us that we draft a contract between Vele and Sgameka for consulting work in petroleum and storage facilities. The said contract, which we backdated by agreement, was drafted by the Shivambu brothers. The signatories to the contract were myself, representing Vele, and Brian, who was representing Sgameka. See the copy attached herewith, marked as annexed TM 18. Wow, wow, wow. Unbelievable. My goodness. What can we say to these things? All I can say is, kungaqhuma kubasiwe. Where there is a smoke, there is a fire. I made a 1 hour, 12-minute video of Julius Malema. If you take the time to listen to that video where I said Julius Malema, a leader or a thief masquerading as a political leader, something along those lines, you can find it here on this very channel. It's worth listening to because it gives you a history of the person of Julius Malema in terms of his character content and ethics and how he was raised and how he was shaped to be what he is today. The Julius Malema phenomena is not a strange phenomena. It exists all over the world where certain circumstances have been created. In this case, those circumstances were created by, I'm just going to tell the truth as it is, by Umsholos. I know that the MK supporters do not like that, but I will not bend the truth for anybody. It is Jacob Zuma that sought to reverse the gains of our democracy and the Rainbow Nation. He is the first president during the democratic dispensation, and there are reports to this effect that proves it. And because we were here and we observed it, when the ANC started forsaking the Freedom Charter and started talking about expropriation of land without the compensation, that was Jacob Zuma's presidency. Mandela and Mbeki never spoke that language. And Mandela and Mbeki, as a matter of fact, Thabo was very young when the Freedom Charter, and so was Zuma, by the way, they were not even members of the ANC, both of them, when the Freedom Charter was adopted in Kliptown. This is very, very important for people to understand. So the Freedom Charter predates both Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma. It's not a doing of their own. By the time they joined the ANC, it was there. It had been an adopted policy of the African National Congress. That is why it's not up to them or any other political analyst who now, by reason of his inherent racism, seeks to divorce the ANC from its own policy documents, which it adopted more than 50 years ago. This is very, very important. I'm saying this having what we call understood what was at stake and what was changing when Zuma assumed a disposition of always talking about apartheid, apartheid, apartheid. What's the end of that? Is a divided society that you have today, a highly what we call divided society called South Africa, that is divided along color lines and tribal lines. So Zuma has been successful. But I was telling you this to say the Malema phenomena can only exist in such a domain. It wouldn't exist in an Mbeki domain. Mbeki at UNISA is there clearly stating that the kill the Boer, kill the song is completely irrelevant in this dispensation. Why? Because it was a song that was sang that carried a meaning at a particular time when we were fighting a particular government. And that government has not existed for 30 years now. Why sing that song? Why? It's not relevant. Hence, in one of the videos I did recently, I said they must actually create their own struggle songs and they must leave the ones that we used against the government of apartheid alone because they are not theirs to sing. The government of apartheid is long dead and these songs become irrelevant when you use them irrelevantly. Anything that is used outside its purpose is completely useless. So to sing songs that we sang when we were oppressed, really oppressed, and we stood death against death daily, and you singing it in a country that allows you to say whatever you want to say, and you stay in the same street as the president, as a leader, and you're wearing shoes that are worth 28,000, and you receive a monthly income that's not due to you from pensioners, old pensioners, 5 million and 1 million every month, and then you come here and you tell us that you are a revolutionary of note. We're supposed to take, good people, it helps to analyze character content of individuals. Yesterday, I met a youngster whose name I may not disclose, and as I was driving him, he said to me something very interesting. But wait a minute, when people have worked hard, like our parents did, and did not blame anybody, they did not even blame the apartheid government. When they worked hard to raise hardworking children like ourselves, they appreciated every cent, every dime. There was no job that they were too good for. Okay? Now, he then said, therefore, no one who worked hard for his money will spend it anyhow. And you know what this brought to my mind? Even though I didn't share it with the youngster, was how Julius Malema destroyed a structure of 3.5 million rands in Sunning Hill in 2008. Between 2005 and 2008, the house where he stayed in there, he destroyed it to only build a house of 16 million, which he never finished. To say who has worked hard for this money would destroy a structure of 3.5 million? Nobody. Nobody who earned that money through hard work, sweat and tears would seek to destroy it. You wouldn't do that even for 100 rand. You wouldn't take a 100 rand note and tear it into pieces if you worked for it. That was evidence right there at the appropriate time, even prior to Dulima Donsela talking about how that on-point engineering of Julius Malema had received undue benefits from the Limpopo government. So I'm pointing these things out. It's not the first time that Malema benefits irregularly. Malema is not supposed to be a politician in our political domain, and so is his mentor, because they are corrupt to the core. If this affidavit proves anything, it proves precisely that. And by the way, before you open up your mouth, Ramaphosa the same. Ramaphosa the same. He needs to explain what is all those dollars were doing in his mattress. Otherwise, he needs to be recalled. I don't subscribe to corruption. I think corruption is a cancer to any nation. It has a potential and ability, not just a potential, to be on steroids and destroy all the law-abiding citizens. And you have the law of the jungle. You don't believe me? Look at what is happening in Colombia and many countries in Southern America, including North America. Mexico is in North America. Look at what is happening there. That's what the law of the jungle does, good people. You take this lightly at your own peril. This is how these things happen when the populace begins to idolize people who shouldn't be idolized. They begin to look at role models on people who shouldn't be role models. Julius Malema, Jacob Zuma, Floyd Shivambu should not be in our politics, and Cyril Ramaphosa should not be in our political landscape, period. Why? Corruption. Corruption. Corruption is deadly, it's very dangerous, it's cancerous. People like about Tony Ngeni and many others. Those ones are no longer influential, but many others like that, like them, should not be in our politics. Our country would be flourishing right now if we punished cronyism, if we punished corruption. The reason why Ramaphosa's hands have been hand-tied is how does he send these people to jail when he himself is implicated? He must explain those dollars and stop delaying tactics because, you know, Zuma used delaying tactics and Ramaphosa clearly has copied. That is why Zuma, for example, could never send himself to jail. That is why all his corruption cases could never be heard in the 9 years that he was a president. Ramaphosa is doing the same thing. The Phala Phala story will never find a light of day for as long as Ramaphosa is a president. This is corruption. We need to speak against it, right? And I'm saying this because I'm tired of making videos about other people. Once this is about EFF, I know people are going to say, yeah, but what about Phala Phala? Yes, he too is corrupt and he deserves to be thoroughly investigated. The only problem we have with him is, just like Zuma, he's not going to prosecute himself. That's why Zuma can now have the audacity to say these claims have not been proven against him. How were they going to be proven when he was the president? It's the same with Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa used the majority of the ANC in parliament. Why? Because he's the one who dishes out positions, good people. The ANC is using a model that was used here next door in Kenya. It's our turn to eat. That's why the ANC is so highly polarized. It's so highly divided. It's divided precisely because of money talks. Nevertheless, this is sad. The so-called revolutionaries, the Gucci revolutionaries, have benefited and have been smiling all the way to the bank on a month-to-month basis. This includes Grand Azania. Wow. I hope for what it's worth, Hawks will do its job. You tell me down below what you think. I don't want to make a very lengthy video. I could by taking you to TM18, but you can get this on Politics Web. Then this is quite long. Let me just scroll down for you to see. You see, it's scrolling. This is quite long, a document. I got it from Politics Web, so you can check it for yourself there, www, and you can be a member like myself. But even if you're not a member, you'll get it. You won't be able to comment on Politics Web. It's just that simple. Okay, guys, you tell me what you think down below. Ciao, ciao. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.